Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time stopping by. I'm so happy you're here. I enjoy making videos about tarot and oracle decks and how to work with those things and all things sort of tangentially and sometimes not so tangentially related. If that is your jam, I hope you'll stick around and subscribe. Today I'm going to be doing a video sharing with you everything that's currently in my purgatory drawer. I'm kind of shocked how much physically fits in my purgatory drawer. I may have loaded up an entire laundry basket full of decks that I'm about to show you. Now, a little context. My purgatory drawer is the drawer where I keep decks that I'm either planning to rehome, am currently looking for a home for, am not using right now and not sure if I'm going to continue to use or will use in the future. It's like a holding place for me to clear space on my walls where I hang my decks so that I can get some clarity and work with the things I'm really drawn to work with. But in any case, these are all the things that are currently sitting in purgatory. We're gonna go through quick because I have a lot. So the first one is the Affirmators Deluxe. I have had so much fun with this deck. I've used it a bunch. I'm not going to go spend too much time per deck, but I have to tell you, this is really great. The main reason that I'm letting it go is I just don't feel like I need it anymore. I tend to reach for other things when I'm looking for comfort these days. So this one just tends to not get a lot of play anymore. If you're looking for a cheeky, humorous, funny deck you can gift somebody else, this makes such a great one. It can be read just like a little motivational message. You can treat it like an oracle deck, but this is the best of collection really from the Affirmators. It's on a matte linen cardstock that's actually really nice to shuffle. The cards are just a little bit oversized, so I have to sort of break it up into smaller piles, but it's really quite nice. I used to have 3 or 4 different Affirmators decks, and then this one sort of combined them all in one. But I put it into purgatory quite some time ago because I just don't really reach for it anymore. So this one is looking for a new home. I don't know how to feel about this, y'all. The Ocean Dreams Oracle by Danielle Noel. I wanted this so bad, and every time I pull it out, I get nothing from it. Nothing from it. When I work with the guidebook, when I don't work with the guidebook, but it's so damn beautiful that I really, really don't think I'm ready to let it go. But I don't know what to do. So for now, this is just sort of sitting. This is one that I definitely don't think I can let go of yet. I think I just need to let it sit, see if I come back to it. It's just too unique and too beautiful for me to consider letting it go. I think for now, in fact, I think I might even pull this out of purgatory and just put it on a shelf somewhere like I do the decks that I'm more like having to have and not necessarily use, because aesthetically it's beautiful. I love looking at it. I just haven't gotten anything yet out of reading with it. So that is the situation right now for the Ocean Dreams Oracle. Yeah, I think I'm going to set that on a shelf for now. The Enchanted Tarot, the 25th Anniversary Edition. This is looking for a new home. I have tried. I've let it go and I've pulled it back from my purgatory multiple times. I love this. I love the idea of it. The fantasy version of myself really would love to work with this, but it's really cool. And there's actually, I think, a new printing now of this deck that is the version that's not this massive, tall size, that is probably a little easier to handle from a shuffling perspective. I do think that the fact that I can't easily shuffle it is one of the issues for me. I'm such a shuffler. That's such a part of my reading process, that not being able to shuffle, and this is just frankly too tall. I can shuffle it sideways kind of, but it's a process. It's so beautiful. The amount of work that went into this deck. I mean, this is a classic. It's gorgeous. I do enjoy it. I just never, ever, ever reach for it. And I thought about getting the smaller version, but I don't think I'm even excited enough about it right now to do that. So this one is just out there. It came in this really nice little 25th anniversary box with a bag and a book and like all the things. So I've just sort of tucked it all back in there. And this one is... I think you can still buy this. I will have links to everything down below for you. The Infinite Wisdom of the Chakras. This was my last attempt at getting a chakra deck that I would like, before finally ending up with Andy's Feel Your Chakras Oracle, which has worked the best for me so far. This is really beautiful. It just was a little unwieldy for the type of readings that I do with chakra cards, and I love the artwork on this. It's really gorgeous. This is one of my favorites of the just easy to get your hands on mass market chakra decks. I think the artwork is less of that sort of cheesy, new agey, no offense to those who love that. It's less of that, and it just feels a little softer and more just gentle and loving. I really like the energy of this, and the book is really good, but I just never really bonded with it. And it's going to be so shallow, but like I need a small form factor in a chakra deck, because when I do client readings for chakra decks, I lay out one card for every chakra, And this is so big that I just run out of space on the table, frankly. Nobody come for me. The Bohemian Animal Tarot, I love this, but there's just other things I love more. And I think, unfortunately, that once I got the Tarot of Curious Creatures, this one was probably doomed. This is a gorgeous and wonderful beginner tarot deck. I think the guidebook is incredible. The animal choices in here are really, really good. And there's something very storybook beautiful about this. I used this to do some ancestor work and had a really, really great time with it, actually. I just really adore the artwork. But I found that compared to the other things in my collection, this one just wasn't getting a lot of play. I'm not 100% sure. I'm about 90% sure that I'm ready to let this one go. But I had such a great time with it. I think this is one of those decks that was meant to come in. It's nicely gilded. Mine has some wear from use, but it's a nicely gilded deck. I just think this is one of those that was meant to come into my life for a reason and a season, but not necessarily a lifetime. The Water Temple Oracle really never had a chance for me, with me, I should say. I'm very picky about water decks, I've learned. I thought I like all the water things, but I don't. This one felt a little all over the place for me. It sort of tracks different water, like sacred figures, ascended masters or deities, however you want to look at that, and then their associated like places and temples, water temples. So it's very much what it sounds like it is. And it just felt a little too... I mean, the artwork is gorgeous. It just felt a little too all over the place for me personally, but I think that the way it's laid out is actually really great. You have the name of the card, you have a keyword, and then you have a beautiful like affirmation, which works really well. And it's on that beautiful Blue Angel cardstock. It's a little bit, it's pretty much the exact same as their other ones. I really like it. I really like the cardstock. I really like the artwork, but this just wasn't my vibe. This one is looking for a new home for sure. And that is the Water Temple Oracle. The Power to Heal. This was sent to me for the purposes of sharing it with you all, and I think this is a really great and clever deck. I think my biggest issue is that I'm just really bonded to my other inner child decks, but this is so sweet. And I think this is the only inner child deck that I feel has done a really, really, really good job with like really addressing healing. And I love the band-aids on the back. It really gives that sort of heal the ouch kind of vibe. And I love the affirmations on here. The artwork is literally the most adorable ever. I hope that this is still available. I'm sure it is. I know that at one point the creator was looking into an updated version, making maybe some small tweaks. I think there's one or two landscape. Yeah, here's one. There's one or two landscape cards. That's not my favorite. I prefer when everything's upright. But I did do some inner child work with this, and I did have a really lovely time. I love this. I see and hear my younger self. If you're doing any sort of inner child reparenting or trauma healing, I think this is a really beautiful deck for that. I just happen to be bonding and working with other things a lot more. And the inside of my box got a little smushed when it was shipped to me, but other than that, this is like great. And I love how the guidebook is actually sort of a combination guidebook coloring book. The paper I think is probably a little smooth for pencils or crayons, but would probably work fine for markers. I don't know if it'd bleed through, but just the fact that like it's written in this like large text in this like very childlike font, and you can color in it is I think really super clever. And I think there's even some activities as well. So it's a coloring activity and coloring book is the guidebook, which is just, it's so great. It fully embraces all of the inner child energy. And I think this is really cool and definitely deserves a lot more attention than it's gotten. I hope it's in print, but as I said, I will have links to everything down below. I'm kind of sad about this. This is a surprise. I don't think I've talked about this going into Purgatory. It's a recent decision. I'm not sure that I'm meant to keep this long term. I was so excited about this. I wanted it so bad because I love my White Sage Tarot in a tin. But I have to say, I really prefer the tin size version. I don't know what I was thinking. I think it's just that I loved this deck so much, and that's why I wanted the full size indie version. But the indie cardstock is quite a bit thinner and more papery than the US Games tinned version feels to me. The artwork is super sweet in here. I love it. It's all the same, but I figured out, and I can't believe I didn't think about this when I bought this, but this, the thing about the White Sage Tarot is I really like, it's kind of a pippish deck, and it pulls in the chakras, but what I love about it is that I can work with a ton of cards like in a Celtic cross reading, and it never feels too busy or cluttered. It's got this very calm look about it so that I can use it in bigger spreads. But because I use it in bigger spreads, I always reach for the tinned version. I did a dumb, really. But this is out of print, this version of it is, and I just realized I was looking and looking for a bag so that I could hang it on the wall, and I never quite found the right bag. And then I realized that all the time that I've had this, I've never reached for it. I've only ever reached for my little tarot in a tin version. So this is an oopsie purchase for me and is looking for a new home. The White Sage Tarot. These next two, I think it's way too soon to tell, to be honest, but the Wild Child Tarot and Oracle, these were sent to me for the purposes of review. I thought I was only getting one of them, but they actually sent me both of them. And these are really, really beautiful. If you want to hear all of my in-depth thoughts about these decks, which I think one of them is out of print, or I think they might come back. I don't know what the story is. If you know, please let us know in the comments. But I went into my feelings on both of these decks in depth in the walkthrough, and since that walkthrough, I just have not been called to work with them. I kind of want to give the Wild Child Oracle another try, to be honest, but I really struggled with some of these. I just really love the artwork though. Then again, I feel like this competes kind of directly with my Roots and Wings oracles, so I don't know that I really need this. It is really beautiful. It's really beautiful. Like, taken at face value, it's gorgeous. I just don't know like that I will actually work with this. So I'm pretty sure this is looking for a new home. I'm fairly sure this is looking for a new home, but that is the Wild Child Tarot and Oracle. Blasphemy. I think I'm letting go of my Smith-Waite Centennial. I've had this in my Purgatory drawer for a long time, and I haven't missed it at all. And I think that's because I really fell in love with the more boldly colored RWS, which is a total 180 from where I was at before. But I have a copy of the Universal Weight in a Tin, which is much more boldly colored, but it's like kind of got a colored pencil look, and the Debray or Debrig or whatever original tarot, which is nicely colored. So this more muted version almost looks now desaturated in a way that I don't like anymore. Like, when I first fell in love with this, I liked the muted tones because it made the deck kind of feel old and classic in my hands. And this is such a fantastic study deck. It's gone to a couple of conferences with me, but I no longer reach for it. I like the prettier colored versions now. So this has been in Purgatory for like ages now, and would definitely go to a new home, but these things are pretty cheap, so we'll see. I tried with Lisa Hunt's Ghosts and Spirits. I love Lisa Hunt's artwork, but man, I've struggled with a lot of her decks, and I love her artwork so, so much. This is a gorgeous, let me just zoom you in. This is a gorgeous deck. And the problem I have with this is that it's too in-depth for my practice. This sounds really weird, but like, I would really have to sit and study this deck to get to know it really, really, really well to get an effective reading out of it. And the reality is it doesn't really make me want to study it. I thought it'd be a fun, like, October-y, like Halloween-y kind of deck, or maybe good for like working with the spirit realm, but I don't do that spirit realm work very often, and when I do, I reach for my soul cards anyway. So this ends up just kind of being neglected, and I've had it for a while now. I really don't like the backs don't feel matched to this deck at all. It's a common complaint with this, but it's just, it couldn't have been more like dissonant, you know? But anyways, this is a really cool deck. It's just not for me, so that is looking for a new home. So it lives in my Purgatory while it waits to find one. The Trionfi della Luna, I go back and forth on this one a little bit. Pretty sure I'm willing to let it go at this point, but I think my thing is that the Deviant Moon is a really special, unique situation for me. Yeah, you've got these extra cards and oracle cards in here. The Deviant Moon by Patrick Valenza really just does something very special for me, but all of Patrick Valenza's other stuff that I've tried to work with, just even though I love the coloration here, and I think this is I love his style, like his art style is really cool, but all of his decks other than the Deviant Moon just feel creepy to me. I can't get around it. Like, I can't find the humor in it, or there's something about the characters in all of his decks except for the Deviant Moon that give me this like they kind of give me the willies a little bit. They kind of give me the willies a little bit. But the Deviant Moon, even though it's just as dark in its style, there's something about that particular art style and the way that those cards are done that I just get so much from working with it, even though it's outside of my normal aesthetic, you know? So I'm pretty sure I can let this go. This is not the illustrated Pips version. This is the regular English Trionfi della Luna version. The Color Mage. This is another one that I don't want to be hasty about. It's not one I'll be able to replace. I've edged it in like coordinating colors to match the chakra association with every single card. So if you were to separate it out into its colors, all the green edged cards would be heart chakra cards, etc. the Color Mage is very out of print now, and kind of ridiculous, I think, how much it goes for. But what I will say is this deck has been really, really fun for me. I've used it for chakra readings. I really find it to be incredibly versatile. But my biggest problem with this is that the text, the keywords, which I really enjoy working with, they're not always easy to see or to read. And that has created an issue for me in working with this deck in practice. So I tended to not reach for it unless I was using it for its colors, because the color names are very easy to read. So for example, if I was coloring a coloring page, I would shuffle up this deck and then use it to pull colors, to pull a little palette of colors to color a page with, right? That's really fun. And that's actually something that I may legitimately keep this deck for. Is to do that with it, because I have another color-based deck, the Energetics of Color, but that one I feel like it's easier for me to focus in on the artwork, and it may not work as well as just a straight color deck, whereas this is very much focused on the energy of color. So this is very much a I don't know yet. I have a feeling I know what I'll do with it if I do decide to let it go, but that time is not yet. So for now, this just stays in purgatory. I'm a little sad about this, but the Lost Code of Tarot, the Book of Shadows Tarot, I think it's called the Book of Shadows, and it's the Lost Code of Tarot or something. This is such a cool package, and I actually backed at the level where you get these like lost letters, which are super cool and like aged and like burnt by hand and all this stuff. This is a really, really cool system. The book arrived with a little bit of a corner smush, but it's otherwise fine. It's a full graphic novel as well as a in-depth tarot guidebook for the deck. So you get to learn all about the story. There is a mockumentary, like a video that you can watch. It's very comprehensive. It's an entire world, and I think that's really what drew me into this deck. But after I sort of played around with it a little bit, I realized this was not going to be a me deck, but the colors are very vibrant. It's really beautiful. I think there's something about an illustration style. I had this same problem with the Dark Mansion Tarot, when the figures have this very intentionally kind of angular or extra, like unnaturally slender kind of look about them. It's hard to describe, this kind of boxy or very, very thin look that just kind of, something about that throws me off a little. I don't know. It's not a statement on anything, like that's just the art style. It doesn't bother me for like a reason like that, you know, like any deep reason. It just bothers me because for some reason it just seems to be a thing that causes disconnect for me. But it's a really cool deck. The cardstock's nice quality, very glossy and pretty. This set is looking for a new home, the Book of Shadows. I keep going back and forth about the Cantagee Oracle. I want to love this so much, and in theory I do. I hate how my cardstock like warped on me. It kind of upset me, let's be honest. But it's sitting in purgatory because I don't know if this is one that I'm gonna miss if I let it go. I may just need to get over it with the warping and just work with it anyway. I don't know. I really love Laura Zuspin's artwork a lot, like a lot. And I love how unique these phrases and keywords or whatever are. I like how vibrant and cool and intuitive the artwork is. Like I love it. Peggy pointed out that I don't really tend to reach for or work with circular decks very much, and I think that's probably accurate. So that's the other piece, right? But so I don't know, but like I could never, like, I don't know why. Why did it, like, if I don't actively squeeze it together, that's literally what it does. Like, why? Why though? So, I mean, yeah, technically this is probably looking for a new home, but like it's all warpy. So I don't know if anybody's gonna even want it. But there's that. It does come with a really, really chunky guidebook that makes me want to work with this deck, even though the cardstock is all whatever. So I don't think I'm ready to let this one go. I'm still thinking about it. So of everything I've shown, I feel like there's only been a couple that I'm like, I don't think I'm ready yet. The Ocean Dreams, the Color Mage, and the Cantagee. I think everything else is probably okay to find a new home. Let's talk about the Wild Unknown. I love this deck, do not get me wrong. I just don't reach for the full-size version. It's exactly like the, hello? Why are we stuck? There's a ribbon, yo. You think I could figure out how to use that? Okay, anyway. I had this deck, I rehomed it, I reacquired it because I missed it. Which is my main hesitation with, is this whole thing upside down? Most of it is upside down. That's my main hesitation with the idea of letting it go. Half of it is what's happening. What's happening? I need to fix these. Is it only, are they all upside down? Am I just dumb? Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's what happened. Anyways, the thing about this is that this is such an informative deck. It really shaped I know you've probably heard it before, but it really shaped the tarot industry in a lot of ways and really changed the game and was very, very innovative. And I've had really incredible experiences with it. But now that I've had it for as long as I've had it and worked with it so much over the years, not this specific copy, but other full-size copy that I had, I find that now if I want to reach for the Wild Unknown, I reach for the little tinned version because, again, like the White Sage Tarot, I tend to reach for it for large spreads because the Wild Unknown I feel like works really well in large, cluttered, or busy spreads. So I have the guidebook. No exterior packaging. I just have these two here that are going to be definitely looking for a new home at some point. But I'm keeping my pocket probably forever, my little tinned one. I just don't have a use for this one anymore. This one is definitely a Purgatory only. I am definitely not looking to rehome this one yet. I'm currently trying to get to know the multi-dimensional Devas or Devas. I'm not sure how you're supposed to say that anymore. So there's nothing wrong with this deck. There's something about the layout or the topics covered in the book that feels too specific for me to feel like I can work with it comfortably. So for right now, I'm just holding on to it. I want to really get to know the Devas of the multidimensional one. I really want to get to know that one first, work with it, see what I think before I decide. And if the multidimensional one doesn't work for me, I'll probably let them both go. If multidimensional does end up working for me, then I might want to pull this in and spend time getting to know it. And I'm not going to know the answer to that question for probably a really long time. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and keep that one in Purgatory. The Wake Me Up Tarot, though, which I believe is currently out of print, is looking for a new home. This is another one where the box arrived and it had gotten smushed. I don't know why some boxes do this in shipping, but some of them do. I don't know what the factor is that causes that, but it seems to be a thing. This is a really fantastic modern deck. It turns out that I have other stuff that I like better, and this one just skews a little bit too much into the sort of relationship realm for me, and a little bit young and collegey in age for me. So I think it's really smart. I think it's an excellent beginner deck. I think there's some really good modern interpretations of the cards, and therefore works really, really, really well as a powerhouse reader. I love this strength card. That's really my favorite card in the whole deck, I think. It's a really, really great deck. I have no complaints about it in general. I just know that I will reach for the ones that I'm either more used to, like the This Might Hurt Tarot, or the Good Karma Tarot, or that feature more age diversity, like the, I'm looking at it and I can't remember the name of it. I'm looking at it and I can't remember the name of it. What is this called? This one. And for some reason, my brain just went boop, and I don't remember now. This one. I love the age diversity in this one, but it's still modern, it's still fresh, it's still diverse. So this one, or the Light Seers Tarot, or the This Might Hurt, or the Good Karma, they kind of all fall in a similar category for me. I literally cannot remember the name of this. That's so funny. So anyways, Wake Me Up Tarot is looking for a new home, and it's just living in purgatory until it finds it. This is one I go back and forth on, and I blame Dawn for the going back and forth. I don't think I was really going back and forth before then. This is a really great deck to work with. It does work really, really well. My issue is that it's just not necessarily my art style. And so it's kind of got this like retro feeling to it, that something about it that just doesn't quite land. I have to admit, if it weren't for the sigil cards, I don't know that the art style would bug me. Let's just see how much of the deck is sigils versus illustrated, like scenic cards. Because actually, I really like these keywords a lot. Okay, actually, that's how many of the cards in the deck are scenic, and that's how many are only sigils. And it's really funny because this is the thing that I think threw me off, even though if you look up one of these sigil cards in the guidebook, which by the way is really good and it's set to lay flat, which is kind of cool. Even though that's the case, if I look up Nirvana, and I believe they are alphabetical, like the guidebook is really good. So you get a write-up. It talks about what Nirvana is, and then there's an exercise to do. So it literally has step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and this is a breath work. And then there's also a mantra. And I think all the sigils are like that, but the other cards aren't. So let me just check out Harmony and see if Harmony has an exercise. It has a quote, a write-up, and a mantra. No exercise. So these cards invite you to do like breath work or exercises. And I thought there was a lot more of them in the deck than there are. And that was really my only gripe, was like, oh man, it's all sigils. It's not all sigils, Lisa. It's only like maybe a 6th or 8th of the card. It's only like, how many cards? Hold on, let's just do the math. 1, 2, 3. Why didn't I do this before? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's only 10 cards are sigils out of how many cards? Lisa, you're ridiculous. 50 cards. So 40 cards are not sigils. And 10 of them are. Like, I needed to get over myself. That's what needs to happen, because this is a really cool deck. This is coming out of Purgatory now. I can't believe, because I liked other things about it. I was just like overthinking the fact that it's sigils. Sometimes I can be picky about this, just the weirdest stuff. All right, this is staying. This is staying. This is really a cool deck. Okay, let's just pull a card. Oh, I love this card. It's like my favorite card in the deck. Okay, well, that's the deck saying it wants to stay. So anyways, this is coming out of Purgatory. This is what happens when I go through Purgatory. I pull things back out. Yeah, this needs to stay. What was I thinking? I also think this would pair really well with the She-Wolf Tarot. Okay, that's staying. Okay, the Joie de Vivre. This was definitely a deck for a season for me. I did a full month study with this deck and working with it exclusively, had a lovely time, really got to know it intimately well, and it was a beautiful experience. I will link that video up in the cards for you or in the description box so you can check it out. This deck is so lovely and sweet. It really focuses in on the figures, and in that way it sort of competes with my Tarot of Curious Creatures, believe it or not. Actually, that's kind of, I don't know if that's entirely true. You know, I'm looking at this, I really like my is it Phantasma Tarot by Paulina Cassidy. I really like my Phantasma. I think that's the one for me, and I really like her little Witchlings deck, but after I was done studying with this one, I found that I didn't really reach for it again after that, and it's a lovely little deck. I just think it's one that's not meant to be in my forever collection. The Prism Tarot. So this is looking for a new home. This was really fun for me to check out, and I really like it. I love the colors. I love the hollow gilding. I love that there's no box. You just have like all the information you need is in, or sorry, there's no book. All the information you need is in the lid and the bottom of the box, which is great. It's got really fun colors on the back, and then all these great keywords on the front. I got this because I felt like most of the keywords that I could find before I purchased it really line up pretty well with the way I look at the cards. But as much as I love the keywords throughout most of these, there's a couple I don't love, but most of them I love. I found that the artwork and the keyword, like the keywords felt so front and center that it was locking me into the meaning a little bit. And I don't normally have that problem with keywords. I think it was a combination of the more minimalist style artwork with the keyword that made me feel kind of boxed in. I think if these same keywords had been on something a lot more scenic with a lot more things happening on the cards, I might not have had that issue. But if you're looking for an easy like beginner deck, a deck to sort of get to know rough meanings of the cards, or just to have something to just throw cards, especially if you're not familiar with all the meanings necessarily, but you want to be able to just do some quick and dirty readings, I think this is really good for that. But while it was cool and I'm super glad I checked it out, it really is not a forever deck for me. So this one is looking for a new home. That is the Prism Tarot by Sarah Calvarisi. Stay Magic AF, it says on the back. This was a comfort impulse buy, and I knew as soon as I took the plastic off it that I wasn't going to keep it. I looked at it in the store and I thought for sure it was for me. Wow, why does the box feel like it's on there? It must be the way I'm squeezing it. This is really an aesthetic deck. This is like Instagrammable, like really beautiful herbs, gorgeous artwork. It's the tones of it though. This is like the Centennial Tarot to me. It's got those muted tones that make it feel kind of old and like magical, like you're paging through somebody's book of shadows, and that all sounds really, really lovely. But in truth, I don't tend to gravitate towards this kind of muted color. I tend to look for more bright colors, more vibrant colors. And so I just don't get excited to reach for this. And the topic is not strong enough for me to get past the color thing to work with it, because I have other decks that get into sort of some herby stuff that I like. And yeah, so this one's looking for a new home. The Antique Anatomy Tarot. This is my second copy of this deck. When this came out mass market, I picked it up and the cardstock was terrible. It was like really papery, super, super thin. I did really enjoy working with this copy. This copy has nicer cardstock. It's still thin, very shuffleable, but it's nice. It's not that papery ickiness. But this Antique Anatomy, this is such a classic. I ultimately decided to let this go because once I got the Oracle of Oddities by the same creator, I found that when I want this aesthetic, I just reach for the Oracle of Oddities, and I didn't tend to reach for this, but it's a beautiful set, and it is mass market, it is readily available, but this one is not meant to stay with me. Oh, another season deck. I had some beautiful times with the Whispers of Lord Ganesha, and for a time it was my absolute favorite Oracle deck. I've just moved on, essentially. And this ended up having some associations with me with stuff completely unrelated to the deck that just made it something that I just don't want to reach for anymore. And it's through no fault of the deck. It's beautiful. I love the chakra cards in this deck. That's the root chakra card, Determination. I love the chakra cards. I love the use of light and color in this deck. It's really quite stunning. My copy is edged in this pale yellow color. This is looking for a new home, and I think may have found a new home already. So possibly by the time this video comes up, this will have already gone on to that new home. But this was such a wonderful time in my life that this deck represents, but it is no longer that time. Oh, the Rune Spirals by Nina Shuffle Tarot. This was such a fantastic learning deck. I've got it in one of Peggy's little mini bags because it didn't have a box or anything. This is such a great rune study deck and book. I think the book came from Lulu. Mine has a little bit of a printing like offset white or something at the top, but other than that, the book is perfect. If you're looking to learn the runes, I just feel like Nina did such an incredible job with this deck, and it's on this beautiful like make playing cards linen cardstock. I think she did a really fantastic job just gathering all of the, oh, I've got them separated, I think, because these are all the like moon phases, and the younger Futhark cards are in here as well. And then I have this as a dividing card. Yeah, like that. And then you have your Elder Futhark here. There's color coding in here. The scenes really remind you of what the card means. It's a really great little rune deck. This has been in Purgatory for a long, long time, and it's got a lot of nostalgia for me because this was one of the primary tools I used when Dawn and I were studying the runes. We'd had created a little rune study group for a while and did that. It was really fun. And again, I think Nina did an incredible job with all of this, but it is time for it to move on. Okay, just a few more left. This is my Threadbound Oracle. I love everything about this, and for some reason have just never really ended up getting into the habit of using it, and so it's in Purgatory. It's looking for a new home now. I think this is a really well done deck. The cardstock is beautiful. It's a matte linen. It's really gorgeous. This has its own system, so there are suits in here. There's like scrolls or paper. There's like ink. It's everything to do with binding books, and it's kind of got a bit of like archetypes or like some kind of major arcana-y kind of vibe too. So it's like very tarot-like in its structure, but it goes its own way. It's very diverse, and love the art style. I really love Cedar's art style to begin with. This is so fun, and I've looked at it a bazillion times. I think the packaging is really clever. It literally looks like you're opening up a book when you get into it. Like, look at that. It has end papers. It's shaped like a book. It's just beautiful, but this one is going to be looking for a new home. This next one, this one makes me kind of sad. I don't know what to do about this, but I love this deck, the Tarot Ultraviolet, but I don't think it's meant to stay with me. It is pippish. The cards were a little bigger than I thought, but I found out when I got it that it's a little more Thoth-based than I had imagined. And so for some reason, I just feel like I'm not connecting with it, but it's super fun. It's a really quirky little indie deck. I think I'm probably going to be okay letting this go to a new home. I think it would really, really serve somebody well. And it's kind of just, I think, languishing in my collection because I tend to reach for, when I want this kind of vibe, I have other decks I like. And unfortunately, I had another deck come in, the Wild Seeker Tarot, that felt kind of like it had this kind of energy, but in a style that was more fitting to me personally. So that is the Tarot Ultraviolet. That one is looking for a new home. And just a couple left and then we're all done. The Objective Oracle I have tried to make work. It's, I believe, out of print. It's all these like everyday objects in black and white with a bunch of like possible meanings for what it could mean in a reading. I've talked about this one before. I think I'm ready to let it go now. That is the Objective Oracle. This is one I go back and forth about. I don't think I'm ready to let this go yet. The Tarot of the Divine. You probably know this one as well as its big book. This was gifted to me and it's all fairy tales. And it's on this like sort of kind of cheap but coreless linen-y cardstock. It's quite thick and kind of holds up well. I'm just not sure. I haven't wanted to reach for this for a long time. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready. Maybe if like somebody, I don't know. I don't know if I can let this one go or not. But it's been in Purgatory for a while. So that is the Beneath the Moon and Tarot of the Divine. So both of these were sold separately. And the last one in Purgatory is Tarot of the Enchanted Soul by Yasmin Westwood. I think this is gorgeous. It's just very unwieldy. So the cards are giant, and I think if I liked it, if I was in love with it enough, I would just trim it down to just the artwork because the card titles are in the center. There's keywords in the borders. I think that would make this a really good learning deck because the keywords are great. The artwork is stunning. But it's just too unwieldy for me. It's got this sharp gilding. It's really big. Like, it's really big. Like, massive. So, yeah, that is the Tarot of an Enchanted Soul. That one is looking for a new home. And that is it, y'all. That is everything in my Purgatory drawer. So you wanted to know, now you know. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will, as I said, have links to everything down below. I thank you for requesting this video. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, an extra big thank you goes out to the Unicorn fam. Whether you are a supportive unicorn, magical, or badass, you really help me to do what I do, and it means so much. To all of you watching, thank you for your watches, your likes, your subscribes, all the ways that you engage with the content here. It really makes a difference. Until next time, y'all, may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye!